So in today's book review, I was reading one of last year's books, by Jim Rohn, The Seven Strategies of Wealth and Happiness. So I've been reading a lot of business books and a lot of wealth books because Jim Rohn recommended saying that if you want to be wealthy, then you're supposed to associate yourself with wealthy people and read books on wealth. So seven strategies of living a life of happiness and wealth. So the key words which are defined in the book, they're fundamentals, then there is wealth, happiness itself, there is discipline, and then there is success. So success and happiness are things that are personal, that basically defined by an individual himself. So these are relative issues, and then fundamentals are principles on which every accomplishment is based, and then he defines discipline as the knowledge of what is supposed to be done and the constant biasness of getting it done. So the strategy number one of wealth and happiness is actually unleashing the power of goals. So in last week's book review, we were talking about goals by Brian Tracy. So Jim Rohn repeats in the first segment, in the first strategy, where he's saying unleash the power of goals. So in order to achieve anything that you want, it's supposed to start with goals. So why is it important for you to set goals? So you're looking at the four motivators which he gives. So the first one being recognition, the recognition that you get after achieving your goals. The second thing is the feeling that you get after winning. And then the third reason is because of your family and what you want to make out of them and how they're going to feel about you. And the last one, the fourth one, is benevolence. And then in order for you to set goals, let's look at long-term goals. So there are certain things that you're supposed to look at. So the first thing being, what is it that you want to do in your life? And the second question you're supposed to ask is, what is it that you want to be? Number 3 is, what is it that you want to see? Number 4 is, what is it that you want to have? Number 5 is, where is it that you want to go and to be? And number 6, the last question when setting long-term goals, is what is it that you would like to have? Which takes us to the second strategy of living healthily and wealthily. So happy and healthy is you're supposed to seek knowledge. So how is it that you gain wisdom? So there is one, personal reflections, that is from your personal experiences. And then number 2 is you're supposed to learn from other people's experiences. So other people's experiences are books they've written, seminars they conduct, videos they have on YouTube and everywhere you can find them. And then the other way you can learn from other people's experiences is listening and asking a lot of questions. And then the last one is actually observing their lives. And then you're supposed to invest in your future. That is in books, investing in seminars, investing in mentorship, and investing in everything that you basically want to invest. The strategy number 3 to live in a life of wealth and happiness is you're supposed to learn to change. So change is something that is inevitable, I think, in our day-to-day lives. Change is something that we just cannot avoid. So the miracle of personal development is what is so much emphasized. So in order to have more, you need to become more. And then unless you change, there is nothing that's going to change about you. It's hard to keep that which hasn't been obtained by personal development. So that is how life is. So values, now let's talk about values. So the only way it gets better for you in life is only when you get better. So it only changes when you change. Now, how is it that we get to become better people? How is it that we pursue so much personal development? He brings a practical example to life of looking at the 4 seasons of life. So the normal seasons, they're talking about winter. So in winter, he says you're supposed to get wiser, stronger, and better. Apart from winter, there is spring that comes. So springtime is time for opportunities. You're supposed to take advantage in spring. And then there comes summer. Summer is a time where I want to relax, want to go on vacations and whatnot. But it is a time to protect time to nourish and time to take care. And then in the fall, that is in autumn, you're supposed to take responsibility. So the harvest that you have in autumn is basically dependent on whatever you had sown in springtime. So how is it that you change? There are three major areas where you're supposed to focus on. That is your spiritual development, your physical development, and your mental development. And it brings us to strategy number 4, to live in a life of happiness and wealth. That is, you're supposed to control your finances. I love a principle that he gives, a 7-1-1 or a 70-10-10 or 70-30 principle of dividing your finances. So the 10% is, it goes to charity or tithing, and then another 10% is your active capital that you put in, and then another 10% is your passive capital that is working for you. So you never spend more than 70% of everything that you gain, which brings us to strategy number 5, that is the mastery of time. So there are attitudes of time which are given in the book. So the first attitude is, that is a difference in mentality, or rather we can overlook the whole subject of time. Just don't discuss the subject of time. And then the other thing is the 9 to 5 time manager, which cripples your productivity and your relationship to family. And then the other one, the other attitude is the workaholic type of attitude. The emphasis on this one is you can be putting in more hours and not putting in more value in your work, which is actually going to cripple your productivity at the end of the day. So it's not about the hours you put in, but what you put in the hours. You can work 12 hours in a day and someone can work an hour in a day, and maybe you make the same amount of money at the end of the day. Or the one who put in an hour can even make more than you make in a month. And then the fourth one is actually enlightened time manager. So this is where your time is balanced. Mastery of time, there are certain aspects that you're supposed to look at, and that is one, self-knowledge. So know thyself, that is Aristotle. So when you get to know yourself, you get to know where your time and how your time is being spent. So watch out of the telephone, that is number 2. In this era we live in, everyone wants to be on the phone, but what is it that it's doing to you? Is it eating up most of your time for productivity, or it's helping you to become a productive person? And then time affects your organizations and everything that is connected to you. So learn to ask the right questions as well, and that is the fourth thing. So the 4 ways of thinking on paper. Jim Rohn is one who's known to be a journal type of person. So he says his journals make up a significant amount of, information in his library and so on. So don't just let ideas slide away from your head. Jot them down. That is by having journals. And the second thing that is there in order to think on paper is having a project book. So every project is supposed to be jotted down in a project book. And then make sure that number 3, you have a calendar where you're looking at where you were, where you are, and where you want to go. And number 4 is actually having a game plan. Never start anything until you have it finished. So never start building a house until you have it finished. Don't start your day until you have it finished, and don't just do anything minus having it finished. Which takes us to the 6th strategy of wealth and happiness. That is, surround yourself with winners. So the principle of association is supposed to be based on answering the major 3 questions is, who do you want to spend your time with? And then, what are they doing to you? And then, are you okay with your associations? And then going deeper in the questions, you've got, what have your associations got you doing? What have they got you listening to? What is it that they've got you thinking? What is it that they have you talking about? How is it that they have made you feeling? And what is it that they have you saying? And where is it that they have you going? So try to think about those. And then you might want to learn the art of dissociation, where you separate from distractions. And then another art is the art of expanded association, and that is spending major time with major influences and minor time with minor influences. Associate with everyone, but learn to limit who gets most of your time. And the last strategy in the book that is discussed, that is you're supposed to learn the art of living well. So be happy where you are pursuing your goals. You will never be as happier as you're not just going to be more happy than where you are. So a tip here to ensure promptness is live your life in style, and then properly nourish your friendships. At the end of the day, they're just going to pay you off good in life. And then there are three major parts of life change. That is having knowledge, there is emotion, and there is action. So I think we talked about knowledge in one of the sections. But when it comes to emotion, there are like four major emotions. There is disgust, when you tend to realize and say, I've had it enough. You don't just want to have that anymore. The second one is decision. When you just make up your mind to say, I'm going to get it done, and you pursue it and you're going to get it done. Desire, something that you want to pursue, you work at it so bad till you get it. And then number four is resolve. So resolve is promising yourself never to give up. Just follow that which you want. And the last one is action. Don't just be a listener, but be someone who takes action. Faith without works is dead. And then so there is a thin line between folly and faith. So affirmation with discipline can bring the best out of your life. And the last four major questions to ponder according to the book. Yeah. So the first question is why? That is one of the questions to ponder about. And the second question is why not? And then another question to ask is why not you? Then the last question is why not now? So till we meet in the next segment, I am checking out.